That's people.
Big government nonsense right there.
Oh my god.
Why do you have?
How do we know?
Why do you have the hyper beam?
Thing?
Why do you need a hyper beam? Don't worry about why I need it. It's my right, my natural right.
Of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets are true without checking facts first. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
My friend.
Here we are, Dave and Ryan, December 1773, back for, we don't really have a name for it, the weekly show at this point. And this is take 2 of Conspiracy Cast. Take 1 is a conspiracy in itself because after filming it, somehow the audio went mysteriously missing. However, we are recording this many different ways, and if this somehow gets deleted, I'm hiring a third-party agent to hunt this down.
I'll pay a guy hourly.
Last time we filmed this, it went really, really well, and I think we got a little heated at the end. We'll see how it goes again, but real quick, check these bad boys out. December 1773 stickers. You send us $3. I send you one of these in the mail, and we take that $3 and we advertise and try to grow. We need to get the message out, and I think $3 stickers is very reasonable. But these are just our logo. We're gonna end up doing different things, but pretty solid, good stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking
sure.
of, if you're watching this and you don't follow our page, you are thieves. You need to follow our page. Don't steal the content. Just like it and follow it.
Facebook page, YouTube page.
Facebook, YouTube. That's pretty much all we're doing, but who knows? Who knows?
Little lax on the Instagram, but
yeah, I don't really do anything on Instagram. I'm sorry about that. That's 100% my fault because I kind of I handle all this stuff, and we don't remotely do anything on Instagram. And it's literally as simple as just you can connect Facebook and Instagram for people who don't know.
The same thing.
You can literally push a button and share all your content. So that's just
the same exact.
That's my bad. Anyway,
yeah, Dave's our amateur producer in training.
Extremely amateur producer and extremely amateur host.
Yes.
Take it away. We're going to do Conspiracy Cast.
Conspiracy Cast number 2.
Take 2. Number 1, take 2.
So, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but there was a news article that reminded me of how mainstream media and the manipulation of, how Trump, it's amazing to me that under this presidency there's all these terms of deep state, fake news, the mainstream media, these terms have impregnated, and it almost seems like it's the big game being played, and there's a lot of levels to it. But there was an interesting article I saw by CNN, and it said, it's a little old, it came out the other week, but I'm sure other people have seen it. People with uteruses.
Women.
No, people with uteruses.
That's exclusively women. No man on earth has a uterus.
Should go and get screenings for their uterus from 25 to 65, basically their whole life, right?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And it's just the level of dehumanization, man. It's so Orwellian. This COVID thing, I think it's a beautiful reminder of how fragile our civil liberties are. There's been a lot of fight on the masks, and maybe some of it is warranted because it is at this point. It does seem like you're kind of going along with the status quo, which is kind of like a revolutionary thing to be an American and not fight back to something, it seems. There's always two sides to every issue in this country, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
And I think about it a lot. Like, they've always talked about the new normal. And it's amazing that these 5 to 15 letter headlines can just bleed into the culture so quickly. But when you look at like people with uteruses, that was written in media and print, right? But how long has the transgender thing been a discussion and an issue? The bathrooms, it's all been an issue and a driving point, like a quick starter for American politics. And it's amazing that by the time it gets down to it, when you're null and void and when you're all worn out, when the Orwellian state has overwhelmed you, like, you're left with people with uteruses get pap smear screenings instead of women, because it's transphobic to just say women.
Yeah, if you want to
it's
find
just
a way
rebranding of everything.
If you want to find a way to shoot healthcare costs through the roof, you start doing checks on uteruses on men. You can check all you want, you're not going to find one.
Yeah, guys are cheaper already to insure, so let's jack that up. But yeah, it just seems like at some point it's got to be a plan. Like George Orwell, his name was Eric Blair. He wrote 1984 and Animal Farm, amongst other great books. He was a writer for the BBC. And a lot of the libertarian movement, based on not getting spied on or privacy amendments, is ground in the fact that things could get Orwellian. And we have the ability of the Orwellian police state, but it's not as practical as the mainstream media. In that book, they talk the Ministry of Truth, and in the Ministry of Truth, they print all the media, all the movies, all the newspapers, everything runs through them, and it's like government-controlled propaganda to make the people believe whatever they want. And at some point, that's starting to bleed over into our culture. People with uteruses. What was the other headline I saw that was beautiful? I don't have it written down in front of me. But it's just like the way they phrase these things, and I can connect it to. I saw another headline that talked about Justice Roberts in the Supreme Court with wins, like wins in the court.
Wins?
Wins in the court. So everything's so politicized. Even our highest level of court is biased-free. They're open biases. They're conservative judges. They're liberal judges, which shouldn't matter when it comes to the rule of law.
Sure, and we talk about it openly during elections. I mean, that was a big Trump thing, and actually, that's one of his promises he definitely followed on. I thought he picked some excellent Supreme Court justices, but we talk about it openly. Like, oh no, if somebody gets elected, he's not going to elect a conservative judge.
Yeah, the highest court, the one that's supposed to interpret the law of the land. If the law of the land is up for interpretation and so politicized, it just all ties into this narrative-based, driven society we've lived in and are living. It's Orwellian. It's like a lot of fat for conspiracies can come off of this. Like, why do you need to spy on us? And you can tie it into 9/11. You can tie it into the Patriot Act. That's where a lot of these civil liberties first started getting gutted. And it was almost, and now we can tie into coronavirus. When these things happen, it's almost like you could predict it in the air, that they just like, here's the hammer coming to kill civil liberties and private property rights. Right now, there's another thing going around the social media, being pushed by mainstream Democrat Party members, mainline Democrat Party members. Rent should be free. Rent should be free. And they always phrase it that people's point of views on rent is changing, and however the media want to spin it. But what they're really talking about is getting rid of private property rights.
Well, right. How would you possibly make rent free?
Yeah, like, not only is it, I'm assuming they want a government-controlled takeover of it.
You would have to.
And it's also funny that they want these duplicities all the time. Like, they want a government-controlled takeover of rent so that it's not outrageous and we all live nice or whatever they want. But then at the same time, when we have a huge federal government that was bossing around the states about coronavirus and funding and needs and everything, you're butchering the federal government on that. Mm-hmm. You're saying they're not doing enough or they're doing a shitty job with it. Well, they closed our whole economy down. They closed all of our borders off to other countries. Trump gave money to money into emergency funding to build hospitals and get personnel and masks and PPE equipment from other countries. Like, they did whatever they had to do on a whim. Like, how powerful is that?
Yeah.
You know, it's this narrative-driven, politicized society we live in, and it's all tied into the control factor to keep us, you know, willing to accept anything as long as we think it's a threat to something. I went shopping today with my daughter and stuff, and just seeing everybody in masks and thinking about it all, it's crazy. The new normal. That's what I kept trying to tell myself. The new normal, the new normal. It's like this slogan for a new car or something. It's a slogan for a new product that's just repurposed and repackaged, and then we're forced to buy it every time something goes wrong. 9/11, war, coronavirus, swine flu, like economic problems. It's all contrived, man. It has to be. It's just too well orchestrated. And people can say Trump is like breaking. I've talked with a few people about how Trump's going after all the pedophile rings.
Yeah.
Especially with all this stuff with Epstein being in prison, his suicide/murder that looks highly suspect. I mean, if anybody thinks that even Trump, a guy like Trump, is up there just trying to bring down this huge establishment system, I don't know how much I believe that.
Let's talk two things here. I want to talk first about Epstein, and then I want to jump into this huge elitist establishment, because there's legitimately a name for it, and you talk about it a lot. But let's jump into Epstein first. The murder/suicide. We're supposed to believe the suicide story. That's what we're being told. That he hung himself from a bunk bed. I don't know how many people have seen a bunk bed before or seen the particular one he hung himself from, but unless he was cut off at the knees, there ain't no way he hung himself from that bunk bed.
Yeah, and his roommate, if you look up pictures of his bunkmate, the dude is a straight stone-cold killer. He's like an ex-cop that killed people. I don't know if he killed his family or something. I don't quite remember, but he's just jacked, you know? Like your typical murderer that you're going to be bunk beds with. Yeah,
and Epstein didn't have a chance in hell. I mean, he was a bit of a nerd.
It's amazing, all that blackmail. He had a whole pedophile island, all those rooms. They had recording equipment, video and audio. I mean, knowingly bribing politicians. There's a woman that has come out that said Bill Clinton was there multiple times. Mm-hmm. Also, his flight logs check out with the Clinton attachment into Epstein. And then people are trying to steamroll the Epstein stuff into the child trafficking thing, which I'm sure it's got to come. It obviously comes from the same tree, but I don't know if they're on the same branch necessarily.
Sure. And
I mean, if anything, Epstein was getting the premium girl. Like, I don't want to say it this way, but I'd assume he'd basically get first pickings, or he was getting the best quality, whatever the hell that means for human trafficking. Like, he had to have the pick of the litter if he was.
If people were going to him, then he must have had what they were looking for.
Yeah, especially that powerful of people, you know. You know, remember when Bill Belichick, the Patriots head coach, or I'm sorry, Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots?
Yeah, the massages.
Massages got ran up in a sting operation for human trafficking. They were linking to it. Now, he eventually got let go and stuff, but he was going to a rub and tug.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he knew what he was getting, where he was getting it.
Yeah, he did.
So yeah, like, you know, this guy obviously has blackmail from somewhere, from some purpose. I don't know if he's extorting people, and then he winds up magically dead. It's too convenient.
And that must have been how he was getting his money, too. I mean, the front was he was basically a finance manager for all these people, but he must have been getting his money backdoor some way. Another thing,
it just makes you wonder, man.
Another thing you talk about, Bill Clinton. What was that picture you were talking about, Bill Clinton?
Bill Clinton, Epstein, in one of his townhouses in New York, he has It's a painting that was done by an artist that has done also other political pictures like this, paintings like this. But it's Bill Clinton smoking a cigar in the blue Monica Lewinsky dress, pointing like this. And it was like in his foyer, like it was
like on display for everybody.
Yeah, it had to be like a gravitas thing for him to just be like so, like, you know, imagine walking by that sign every time and be like, I got you, Bill Clinton. I got you, like, where I need you, in my pocket. to just, like, is it even lobbyists? You know, like that. Talk about level of lobbyists. I don't mean just with like funds or money. Like this guy's lobbying him with like actual blackmail data, and that's been something I've talked about for years about people's response when they're like, "Oh, I don't care if I get spied on. You know, it's for a good reason. I have nothing to hide." It's like, sure, you might not have something to hide, but your local mayors, your politicians, your police officers, your judges, anybody in any kind of authoritarian place of power and influence, big companies, like Bezos got caught cheating, you know, with his mistress, or yeah, it's incredible. Like, and then it's used, a guy like Epstein is using all of that blackmail. You know, he didn't have to steal to get it, but he didn't do it like, I'm sure he didn't tell anybody that they were being recorded at his.
No, I doubt it.
You know, like, hey, come to my exclusive.
People wouldn't keep flying out there if they knew they were going to get recorded.
Yeah, keep logs of Bill Clinton on your jet nearly 30 times. Yeah, they didn't know. You know, this guy.
They figured it was probably just a liability thing. I got to sign this log in case anything happens, and they took off.
Yeah, it was probably framed that way too.
Probably, I doubt it.
Double-sided paper that when he signed the top one, it went to the bottom one. That was the real waiver. Like, it's so crazy. And we're just supposed to. This is bigger than JFK. Like this, you know, JFK has a lot of cloud behind him because the guy that shot him, Harvey Lee Oswald, was shot and murdered himself when he was going to court and everything. You know, this has been a repeated case through many conspiracies that have surrounded big people. Is this just chronic death? The Kennedys themselves were caught up in the mob. Yeah. You know, and then his brother dies, he dies. You know, his dad was a mayor in New York City taking on the mob and selling alcohol, bootlegging. You know, like these people, the guy rose to the highest position of power in the known world, and his whole family was ran by basically a bunch of mobsters. You know, it's the Clinton thing's weird, but the other group I always bring up is, if anybody looks into anything about the Bilderberg organization, it's, to me, that's the writing on the wall when it comes to the notion that everything is controlled to some degree. Yep. They obviously can't control every single dollar and cent, but these people can influence geo and political positions of nearly everybody in the world when it comes to places of power, institutions, schooling, media, entertainment. I mean, they have their finger roped in all of this, and it wouldn't take much. It's not, I mean, it really doesn't take much, I don't think. You just need, it makes me wonder, you know, if there's guys worse out there than Epstein. You know, like if Epstein was doing this, and Epstein's this, let's say he's a low-level guy or a mid-range guy, there's people that sit above him that are doing something similar. Like, what? How high does this go? How bad does this get?
Yeah. So
you know, if Bill.
I was gonna say these Bilderberg group.
Yes.
Let's jump into that a little bit, because what is Bilderberg group?
Well, it was they have a website. They didn't always, and when you go on there, they have a little story and a synopsis about themselves. And they said every year since 1953, the members of Bilderberg Group get together to discuss all range of various industries. There's no politics discussed, but they go there and they're basically brainstorming. You know, I don't know if it's necessarily the way the world is going, or this is, like I said, this is where a lot of conspiracies to me just work away and get back to theirs, because this is where it seems it's planned. It was released they discussed the euro before the euro became the standard in Europe. They talked about it in these meetings. They've always been secret.
Did they say euro?
They've always been secret.
Did they say the actual word euro? Or were they just talking about a general, not globalization, but like European money standard?
They were talking more about a standardized European note.
Gotcha.
You know, but it still is the fact that this was a policy later enacted a few years later.
Yeah.
You know, and it was referenced there. And it's people of all industries. Artificial intelligence, big tech, agriculture, and we're talking like the top of the top.
Yeah, the absolute most elite.
George Pataki went there one year. He was a governor of New York. I don't think he was a sitting governor at the time. But they go there, and the place used to be a secret. They said since 1953 they've been holding this meeting. Well, it was only recently until like I'll say the late 90s into the mid 2000s that they started admitting that this was a real thing. And they were in Brussels a few years ago, and they used taxpayer money to buy out a hotel, the luxurious hotel, and they put a fence up around the perimeter. You know, these people used to get dropped off in helicopters, and people would be standing far away with camera equipment just to record them to let people know that these people are going.
Yeah.
And now it's just, you know, in the media, it's just like kind of slunk in there. It normally happens in June of every year. I don't know if they held one this year because of COVID, but it happens. It has happened. And the clientelists that go there, I'm sorry. You know, it's. I'm sure somebody somewhere is violating international laws or laws in their country about meeting with big businesses and stuff. Like, I mean, at the worst, it's open lobbying.
Yeah.
You know, in my opinion. You know, and then it kind of like ties into the little bit of the occult aspect that these people that in positions of powers always seem to gravitate to this this sense not of control, but like the notion that we don't do it alone. And there's been footage released of the Bohemian Grove on the West Coast, and it's very powerful people worshiping an occult statue of an owl in the middle of the woods.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's just, they're all freaks and creeps.
So,
and then...
See, we kind of just
glossed over a lot, I know.
The fact that there was a giant owl in the woods that they were just praying to.
Yeah, it's like they do a seance and stuff. There's video online. A famous YouTuber actually captured it and put it on the internet. But yeah, it's I don't know the name of it, but you can type in Google. You can look up what the god represents. The owl goddess in some religion. It's satanic. It's evil. It's dirty. It's just imagine a guy like Bill Clinton at a pedophile island, and then imagine all the people you don't know that didn't go to pedophile islands or what they're doing. Yeah. It just seems, I mean, Scientologist is a little different than Christianity, but at some point, that's a cult too. Going Clear, there's a book written about it.
Scientology.
Yeah, Going Clear. It's incredible.
There was a famous actress who did a show about that. I don't remember.
Yeah, she was Remy Ma. Is that the name?
I don't know. She was on like King of Queens or something, wasn't she?
Yeah.
So she did
it's Remy something.
She did a whole show about how she got sucked into it and everything about it. I didn't see the whole thing, but I know the gist of it. It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild to me.
It's crazy, and those guys are, you know, the celebrities everybody idolizes are in these little clubs. You know, they all tattletale on each other, and they have all these itineraries, and it just seems like at some level of power, you're basically just a blackmailer, and you're a scout, and you reconnaissance all this information that can be leveraged against other people of positions of power. It's just this constant, like, soft blackmail back and forth.
Yeah.
That's how shit gets done. It's got to be. It kind of gets into modern politics here, but they're having trouble right now in the House of Representatives and everything, working out the stimulus check, right? And it's amazing to me that it was a lot easier when it included all the corporate bailouts that just unanimously passed, and they just threw money at it like typical government.
Sure.
And now that there's less fluff in there for corporations, it's harder to pass. Go figure. You know, they unilaterally can vote all these things that are either horrendous to civil liberties or something that can hurt the country financially. They push the lever on that all day. But when it comes down to the people, like when it's something that might directly affect us, it takes so long.
Yeah.
And it's all these lobbyists, all this special interests. It just makes me wonder at what level of blackmail there is at our local politician.
I'm sure it goes deep. We used to talk about all these things as conspiracies and find out they're true. The Bilderberg thing, I'm sure people were talking about, and everyone looked at you like you had two heads. You know, MK Ultra, I think we talked about a little bit. This is, for people who don't know, MK Ultra is literal, basically mind control. And, you know, depending on when you were talking about this, somebody might have looked at you like, you're nuts, there's no way this is happening. But we now know through documentation that it's 100% true that it happened. I think it started back in World War II. Is that right?
Yeah, it was tied. There was rumors that like other countries' special intelligence agencies were experimenting with being able to possibly influence somebody's cognitive ability, and they would use LSD and drugs and other things, hypnosis, meditation practices, like all sorts of just a variety of crazy stuff. It started very small and grew into a very big program that later in its later years they were dragging people off the streets, drugging them. It's called Operation Climax. They were drugging these people and trying to like basically do tests to see if they could be influenced under drugs, and then like the whole sleeper cell thing. What's the movie that the guy takes the fall for a crime? He was like brainwashing to do it. Not Marathon Man.
I don't know if I
but
saw
either, yeah. But any regard, like it's crazy, and not necessarily saying that at first it was created to be evil, but at some point, when did the politics start and stop?
Yeah.
They were drugging random people. They were drugging people in positions of power, and they just did it in the term of national security.
Yeah.
It's. I've heard it put that the only reason we cared about space was because of national security. And it just seems like the driving factor is this fear, and then we'll just like, okay, do whatever you have to do to get this done. Whatever you need to make us safe, or whatever you have to do to make sure that we're going to be as good as we are right now, do whatever you have to do. Violate my civil liberties, drug innocent people. People will die. People will suffer. Good and bad things come from it. And it's just, it's this driving narrative in our culture that it's just all that politicization and all that lobbying has just bled into the average person. We're so swayed, man.
Yeah. So some of the other things that were involved too, because it wasn't just drugging random people. Not that that's not bad enough, but there was a lot of weird techniques used that you kind of see used in advertising today, where people just kind of, repeating and slogans and sayings and stuff. But it basically, the repeating of the same thing over and over and over, essentially, in theory, was hypnotizing people.
Yeah, it's crazy how the government, right? Like it was kind of like the Patriot Act. I'm sure it's happened to a bunch of people. You'll be on Google looking at a particular image of a product you want, like cat food or something. Mm-hmm. You'll look into a little bit of cat food. When you think you really found the one you want, you go to your social media, or you go back onto a browser or your email. And then when you're there's an image of the exact cat food that you were just looking at.
Guarantee it's happened to every single person who's watching this.
Guarantee. It's happened. It happened to me the other day with a band. I was talking to it with somebody. I pulled up my YouTube. Bam. First at the top of my YouTube page was the band. And it's crazy to think at first that's all the Patriot Act allows you to just get listened on and videoed on and microphones on. And it's amazing how it always starts, once again, with the best intentions. And then by the end of it, they're using the same system, the same algorithm, the same backdoor systems, the Trojan horses and all this technology to just sell us crap, to sell us Coca-Cola. Mm-hmm. And these companies have lobbied for this technology, or they bought this technology. It's just this big exchange of like, it's basically blackmail for consumerism, And there will be a day when your smart TV is linked to your smart fridge, to your smartphone, to your smart watch, and all these systems, this smart world we'll live in. And you're going to get advertisements for all the crap that's in your refrigerator, and you're just going to have it stickered all over your devices.
Worse than that.
And it's just basically lobbying you. It's going to collect all this info. It's so incredible. They collect all of our data and then sell it back to us. And we're just like, I got nothing to hide. It's like, how much money these companies make by just selling you shit that you were going to buy anyways, and they influence your buying behavior?
So when you're talking about all this smart technology that's linked up, it's even worse than that. I mean, now, and this isn't even brand new, but Amazon has a device where you can literally push a button or speak and say that you want to order whatever, and Amazon will send it right to your front door. Yep. Which in a way is cool technology, but the other way you could look at it is, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like, are we this deep?
Yeah, like what have we either given up, forfeited, or what has been bought and lobbied for us to have this kind of technology? I mean, I'm not the most tech savvy guy, You know, like I operate having a cell phone fine, a smartphone. You know, I have internet access. You know, I can do the basic things, but when it comes to the deep knowledge of like what happens and how things work and how these apps are built that collect information. I mean, Trump's talking about banning TikTok because it's Chinese owned for national security concerns.
TikTok.
I mean, that's
TikTok recently, not to interrupt, but TikTok recently said they're going to sue.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck.
So, yeah, we kind of got into the Amazon stuff a little bit. I think Wayfair needs to come up.
All right, so what's your view on the Wayfair?
Wayfair?
Like, Wayfair was hot about 2 weeks ago.
Sure.
And there was a lot of slack caught for the company because apparently they were selling overpriced items like fire-proof cabinets, blankets, pillows, and they were highly expensive, like thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. And some of the products had a name of a woman that was apparently missing, according to some of the missing children's apps and the missing people apps. And on some of them, if you took the product code and punched it into a Russian search engine, you would get pictures of little girls in like bikinis and swimsuits, and a lot of the tags in those pictures would be highly inappropriate.
Yeah. So we have talked a little bit about this before, so you know, but for me, any conspiracy, it takes a couple things for me to believe in a conspiracy. It takes more than one coincidence. So in the terms of the Wayfair thing, there are many, many coincidences. Maybe some would say, I would say, too many coincidences. There's too much going on for it to not be true, in my opinion. I can't. And again, I don't think Wayfair's knowingly trafficking people, because Wayfair operates like eBay and Amazon, and you don't really buy it directly through Wayfair. You buy it through a third party who sells through Wayfair. But when it comes to there's too many coincidences to not at least probably be true. Because when we talk about the cabinets, they were asked about it and they said, well, they were expensive because they're industrial. Okay, well, why were they named after missing people, and why do you punch the product code into a website and get images of missing people? It's too much going on there.
I have a hard time believing the Wayfair thing based on the Russia. Mostly anything dealing with Russia, I have a hard time to believe. And I think this could be an ad revenue generator for some Russian company that has bought all these names and all these licenses, and they stoked fears in social media. I mean, they used social media during the last election. They're trying to use it in this one. I mean, I don't think it's that easy, because most of this stuff originated on Facebook, which I find a little ironic considering social media is probably the worst place to figure out anything. Find any out kind of real bombshell information doesn't come from Facebook. Sure. You hear about it through Facebook, but it's not going to be leaked or like discovered on Facebook. It will be like a Reddit page or something like that, or 4chan, or it will start in the dark corners of the internet and then get brought all the way up to Facebook. But and it seemed like it was just fanned and flamed. Like a lot. Like, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for either thing to be true. I also don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that both things are true.
So how would Russia? How would Russia know if they're using it as an ad revenue generator? How do they know to have the item numbers tied to their website to tie to missing people? They would have to be behind all of it together.
Well, it's a lot. When I did the product numbers, I didn't get missing people. I just got a lot of images of children, and none of them were any kind of level of inappropriate as far as what the actual image was. What was inappropriate was all of the tags on that picture were like they were highly explicit as far as describing the young children. But I don't know. Like, I just was trying to think like what's the easiest path to get people to a Russian search engine, make a conspiracy. And if you can influence, if you can if they have the computing power to put that in thousands or millions of computers and repost it and reshare it, like, it's not going to take long. And especially because the media is the wild, wild west out here anyways, and there's already a lot of people don't trust the media. Media disinformation or media ignorance leads to that. People don't read enough like real news articles, even though those are hard to come by. I don't think it would be easy to influence the masses to have this huge thing dealing with highly inappropriate things when it comes to young children. But I mean, there's millions of people involved in human trafficking in the United States, and millions, many more in the rest of the world. So this is obviously, and paying for people has got to be a huge money-making opportunity for these people. I don't think it's not possible that it could happen on one of these websites. I just think it's highly improbable.
Yeah.
But the human trafficking numbers are disgusting.
Yeah, and that's real. We know that's a known real fact. It's millions of people.
Something I thought that was a little crazy, though, was like some of the statistics when you look into children that were raised in foster homes. They're more likely to be molested and put on drugs. They're more likely to be involved in human trafficking. So it's like, what's going on in these alphabetic organizations that, it's just, it's like everything is falling apart. It's all worked into it.
I don't know. It might be a lot of what was tied to Epstein, where he kind of picked on people who were easy to prey on, people who had rough backgrounds, maybe single parent household, or in a bad neighborhood or something. He picked on what were essentially easy targets, kids who would go to him for $100 or whatever it was, and they could recruit other people and get an extra $100, and he had a whole little web scheme.
Yeah, it seems like it's a common thing with these people that are in these positions to be highly inappropriate and prolific like that. It's all a club. George Carlin, to quote him, it's a big club and you're not in it.
Yeah.
And they're running the world. They run everything. And once again, we just see Bill Clinton. We just see Jeffrey Epstein. What about the 15 people on top of him that have no name or face, or they're not referenced in any media any day, and they're just getting cash over fist, and they're influencing politicians, and the level of power they have is staggering.
And it's easy to bring up a couple names like Soros or the Rothschilds or whatever, but I mean, those are two known ones. But you got to think there's even more than that out there, and there's people out there who are. I mean, we talk about Jeff Bezos as the richest person in the world. He's the richest documented person in the world, but there's people out there who have way more money than Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, it's said that, I've heard it both ways, but Vladimir Putin may be one of the wealthiest men ever in the history of the world, and so is the Queen of England. She may have enough wealth to own the world.
Well, they essentially got royalties that you inherit previous royalties, and then they, somebody else inherits your royalties, and then somebody else inherits those royalties. So you got to think, over a couple hundred years, there's a lot of royalties.
It's amazing that the founders of this great country were able to break away from that grip and to literally end royalty in the United States. There's places now that still have kings and queens, princes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. We're 300 years of this big self-experiment of self-government, with protected rights by a constitution and a limited government. It's incredible. Like, what better way, you have to save America for last, because America was like, it's the oldest continuous democracy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, bring down the golden goose, clip her wings, these trade deals too, something Trump ran on that he, hopefully it works out for us in the long run, but the trade deals, I mean, all of our politicians, they knew what would happen. And they took them foreign checks and they cashed them. And they said, see ya. And they've watched our lives fall. All these people making these decisions, whether it's funding the police, defunding them, having these murals. It's no coincidence it's a political year and there's all this shit going on at once.
Yeah.
And, they know what they're doing.
They're not dumb.
They know what they're doing. No, they know what they're doing. Mayor de Blasio having these murals painted that aren't even legal because there's no permits filed. He says, do what you want. You can't have protests, you can't have cookouts, you can't have parties, but you can have Black Lives Matter. You know, these people, these open authoritarians, while they're calling the federal government authoritarian, it's priceless. These people know exactly what they're doing. This is a plan. This isn't just random. It's too coincidental. There's too many things, like you said, about conspiracies. There's just too much when it starts adding up on multiple ends. Mm-hmm. It's too much. It's called the Hegelian dialectic. It's when you attack the opponent on every single front that you can. Economic, military, economic, everything. You just cover all basics. You hit them socially through entertainment and influences, celebrities. Just all the main areas of our life are just being flooded with this narrative, and it has bled over into the mainstream Democratic and Republican talking points of the political parties. Yeah, ties back into the controlled media. It's all narrative based. It's sad. It's sad that they, like I said, they're saving our country for last, and they've slowly just eroded it. I don't know. It's the whole thing's crazy. I don't believe in conspiracies like I used to, but I know that at some level all of this is being methodically ran by somebody.
Yeah. And when I was younger, I used to think, man, these politicians, they're dumb. But as I'm growing older, I realize they're not dumb. They know exactly what they're doing. And it's a big plan that they have devised.
Yeah, it's all of these people on the same thing. I get standing with your party, but just the judges that have biases. We have the level of lobbying we have. It's all open. Congress can have insider trading, but you and I can't. Martha Stewart went to jail for it, but they do it. You know how much money did they make before the stock market fell out that they knew was coming because they were going to close the fucking economy?
Because they're the ones who shut it down.
Yeah, they knew. Like, oh, it's weird. And then they drag local representatives in New York like Chris Collins. Are dragging him through the mud for insider trading when it comes to a company with medical supplies. It's incredible, man.
Yeah.
The people that they want to have the hammer fall on, they let them take it, like a guy like Epstein. You know, and it's a big club, and we're not in it.
That's right.
Unfortunately. And that's why they shut down Conspiracy Cast number 1.
Conspiracy Cast number 1 got shut down, and the way Conspiracy Cast number 1 ended is how I want to end the Conspiracy Cast Take 2, because it was the highlight of Conspiracy Cast.
So aliens have been popping up in the media lately.
Aliens.
There's been fighter pilots that have come out. And lately, it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was an article dropped by one of the mainstream publications, and they talked about how they've recovered a craft made from materials not found on Earth. Mm-hmm. And everybody's just doing aliens and saying, you know, aliens on your 2020 board for all the things crazy.
Aliens.
It's too coincidental, my friend.
Can we we're going right back into this. The alien thing. So here's the deal. Where are you on aliens?
If aliens could fly to Earth, land here, do anything with our weapon systems, be able to spy on us, if they would even come into our galaxy and visibly and knowingly view us, I believe they would attack us and destroy everything on Earth. They would take resources, whatever they needed. They're here for a reason. They're not just here to watch us. I don't believe that these aliens are, not that they're not smart enough, I just don't think it would be ingrained in their nature to just observe us and not jack with us. They would destroy our stuff.
So
it'd be War of the Worlds. That's what I believe.
Why, in your opinion, are aliens... Why are they destined to be violent? Why do they have to be so excessively violent that they would go out of their way to kill us?
Nature is survival of the fittest.
But we're galaxies and universes apart. We can't even... We don't even have the technology to get there. So they're going to go out of their way to come get us and then kill us all?
Well, why would they be here just watching us?
I don't know. The same reason you drive to the zoo. You don't drive to the zoo and then start hacking away at elephants.
Bro, zoos don't have buildings and cars and cell phones made of earth materials that can do anything.
What do you mean? You go to check out the...
Monkeys have not built skyscrapers.
But they don't have to. You're going to see the monkey. They're not coming here. I'm not saying they're coming here to see our skyscrapers.
So aliens need entertainment.
Absolutely. Of course they do.
I don't buy it.
Why?
I don't buy it. Because
Aliens
it's a fucking alien in a spaceship. If it can fly here, what kind of weapons does it have on it?
But it doesn't have to use the weapons.
It's just going to hold on
It could be self-defense weapons.
Better have a gun and not eat it.
That's right. Why are you questioning why they have weaponry?
Yeah, if they're humanitarian and are just spying on people.
Big government nonsense right there.
Oh my god.
Why do you have?
How do we know?
Why do you have the hyper beam?
Thing?
Why do you need a hyper beam? Don't worry about why I need it. It's my right, my natural right.
How do we know that the aliens isn't a big government ploy?
I'm not saying...
Another thing.
Listen, I'm not saying we do know that or don't know that.
If aliens are real, they are the best kept conspiracy of all time.
Are they?
They gotta be. If nobody from the government... There's all this talk. People talk about it all the time. If the government was behind covering up aliens, it would be way more... There'd be way more to it.
But people do...
It wouldn't just be...
People leak it out all the time, and then they get coined as foil hats or whatever. Like they're
tin hats.
Tin hat, crazy, outrageous people. That's how they do it. Because only one person leaks. One person leaks, and then the government says, and the media who's compliant with the government say, look at this person. This person's insane.
Okay, so...
It's the easiest conspiracy ever to keep, because you look like a psycho if you say that I was working with aliens in the government.
You think the government's like got everybody on lock and key, and they're going to kill their entire family or ruin their reputation about little spacemen?
Sure.
But then at the same time, they'll release information talking about how they have captured a craft from off planet.
So on Netflix, there's a tremendous documentary. It's about Bob Lazar. And the story of Bob Lazar, and I'm not saying I believe or don't believe it, but the story of Bob Lazar is that he used to work for the government. And basically what he would do is he had to reverse engineer the propulsion system of a spacecraft, alien spacecraft. And he comes out and he decides that he's going to tell everybody his story, his secret. And he gets absolutely drugged through the mud. He's a psycho. This dude is clearly mentally unstable. They do a documentary on him. The guy's place gets raided by the FBI during the documentary multiple times. It's like some computer shop or something. Like, it's totally irrelevant. He gets raided by the FBI on camera multiple times. It can't be a coincidence. It could be a coincidence, but there's no way. Why? Why else would they be raiding him? I guess there's other reasons.
What if the government had UFOs the whole time and they're just super high-end spacecraft that not many people know about, and the government doesn't want our military technology getting out to the rest of the world?
They could.
They had the SR-71 Blackbird for 40 years in rotation. It was around in the 60s, early 70s, and then it went all the way up until the 90s. They had this technology that they could fly and hypersonic speed. They could blow past radar,
So what about the people who say they were there and saw actual unearthly beings, let's call them?
Bob Lazar said he saw something.
Yes.
He doesn't know what it was. It was very quick, and he's not saying, he could be, not that he's making it up, but he doesn't know if that's what he's seen.
Sure, but
there could be a whole load of conspiracies, though.
But he's not the only one either. There's other people.
What if they're experimented children, like a Nazi program that they experimented on children?
Listen,
send a flying saucer over here.
I'm not saying it can't be. I'm just saying aliens are extremely possible, and if they exist out there in the ever-expanding universe that is as vast as your brain can even imagine, which it can't, it's possible that they're coming here and they don't have to violently kill us all.
I don't buy that.
Why? They can be perfectly friendly.
I don't understand humanitarian aliens. It's just illogical.
It's not. There's humanitarian people. Why wouldn't there be humanitarian aliens?
Yeah. After all of the barbarians that lived for thousands of years, we can be humanitarian.
But they're more advanced than us. That's the theory, isn't it?
We're more advanced than them. We're more advanced than them.
Why?
No, aliens are more advanced
We
than us.
can barely
I meant,
get
like,
to the
we're more
moon.
advanced. We're more advanced than the people that came before us.
Oh, of course.
And we can jack up things on the other side of the planet with a PlayStation controller. And we do.
Sure.
So why wouldn't aliens do that?
Because they don't have to. What would be in it for them? What advantage would they have taking us all out? We can't even.
What's the advantage
We can't
of
even
not
get to the moon.
taking
We
us
can
out?
barely get to Mars. We're gonna go universes away to go attack aliens.
Sounds way easier to conquer. Even easier with your
No,
points.
it's way easier to do nothing.
Where's the benefit of doing nothing?
I don't. What do you mean? The benefit is life goes on as normal. Nothing.
We're
Nothing
like,
changes.
Look at these cool humans just sitting here at the park with a fishing pole. And driving their cars, sitting on their way to work.
We
Listening
literally
to Straight
have.
Talk FM radio.
We literally have reality TV where we watch each other and we're not even different. We're watching the same people as us on TV and like, wow, that's crazy. The show's amazing. It's not amazing. It's you on TV. There's no way aliens wouldn't come here.
Okay. We have to agree to disagree.
I'm just saying. There's no way aliens are going to come here and then
I'm just saying,
kill
it'd be-
everybody.
It sounds way more logical and easier that it's a fake thing or it's some kind of high-level military operation and government something.
Well, it might be. It could be. But
I think you need to take that tin hat off.
I want to believe.
Yeah, and you ever think that is overriding your desire of objectivity?
No, I'm very
That
objective.
you just want humanitarian aliens to come and save you.
I'm telling
from-
you, humanitarian aliens is not that outrageous.
All right. This double entree week after Conspiracy Cast failed to get off the launch pad, so to speak. We had to reshoot, so we tried our best. It's hard to recreate an organically good conversation that we had, but I think we did pretty well here. This is Ryan and Dave from December 17th, 73, the weekly podcast. I hope everybody subscribes. You can reach out to us, and any donations would be appreciated. If you give us $3 or more, we will mail you one of these fancy packages. Inside are your December 1773 stickers. Spread the word. Back to its roots, man.
That's
And
right.
Dave's our producer. I'm the host, and we're podcast will go through various formats and changes. We're really kind of working out our system here. Dave's got a lot of equipment he's been dealing with, I think good things are on the coming up.
And you got to be there
Yeah.
to check them out. So you got to make sure that you like, subscribe, follow, all of the
On our-
things.
Our Facebook page, our YouTube page, both of them are December 1773. Leave a subscribe, notification bell, all that jazz. Share content, that's important.
I don't-
Comment.
If we're going to point to the video, the subscription thing will be on YouTube. It'll be whatever, over here somewhere.
Over here.
It'll be over
Point
there somewhere.
Point over here and hit that bell. Ping.
It'll be over there somewhere. And if
But
it's
yeah,
not,
comment.
if it's not, you should be smart enough to figure out how to subscribe to something. Come on, it's 2020.
Comment below and give us if you want to see stuff in future shows or something we didn't discuss or you want us to break down more. I'm always down to do that. We got a couple things happening behind the scenes we hope to bring you. Might be lining up an international person for a little chat, but we're trying. We're not going to hold our breath. We're just going to keep
International.
plugging, doing our thing, man. And yeah,
I like it.
this meeting is adjourned.
I like it.
All right, dude. I'll talk to you.
That's it.
Bye, everybody.